Materials. Don't you just wish you could make your own? Like, ooh, that's a nice wood, good stone, lovely metal. But it would take little old me days to do this. Where do I even begin? You begin here, and it's gonna be super easy. The absolute first thing you need, the one thing no other tutorial on this planet will tell you about, is a scale reference. So go find yourself anything that looks like a human and is human-sized, and sit that next to your cube. Now you have a pretty good idea for the level of detail you're going to need. Like how big or how small do you need to sculpt stuff? The answer is right there. Will it make sense when compared to a human? If yes, proceed. If no, are you even listening? So yes, we will be sculpting, and for that, I'll squish this cube down because most of the vertical space would be a waste of resources, but we do need to keep some thickness in order to actually sculpt. Then scale the whole thing up a bit. 2 meters is my intended target, but to make sure we don't trim off the edges while we sculpt, and to also help with the tiling, we need to make it a bit bigger. Make sure to apply the transforms after you're done scaling, otherwise your sculpting will look super weird. I'll also do smooth shading on the cube, because this will just reduce face setting. And then let's hop on over to the Sculpt tab. Press R to define the density of the mesh. Don't go too crazy with this, just take a look at the size of the cells and make a decision as to whether or not you think that would be a good starting point. Then press Ctrl and R to apply that remesh. Now we can sculpt, but there's no tiling, and that's pretty important. So come up here to the symmetry options, enable tiling on the X and Y, since that's our horizontal plane, and then change the tiling offset to 2 meters, since that's our target size. So now when we sculpt, we can see it wrap around to the other side. And because we made our sculpt mesh a bit bigger, we don't run the risk of pushing the borders inside or getting any dead zones with the bakes. The material we'll be making in this video will be some stylized wood. And the clay brush is a good place to start with this. Just layer on some big strokes and remember to hold control every now and again to carve in instead of out. We don't want to push this up too much, so just try to keep it flat and focus on the surface level details. It can also be quite easy to end up with strokes that just end abruptly, which will look weird. I usually just undo these if I don't think I can salvage it. Don't go overboard with this part, by the way, it's just the first pass. And when you're happy, bump up the resolution a bit by pressing R, and you can hold Shift to fine-tune this number, and then Ctrl and R again to reapply it. Now you're ready to start adding in some smaller details or some indents or whatever, and the Draw Sharp brush works best for this. Try to adjust the size and strength to whatever you need or prefer. You don't necessarily need a drawing tablet for this, but it certainly helps. Come back to the clay tool if you feel you need it. Experiment with the other tools as well, like the scrape brush can be very useful. Grab tool also very handy just to move things around. The pinch tool is a necessity for wood, get some real convincing shapes with that. There's also a twist brush, which is a bit hit and miss, but it can create some interesting details. Just use it sparingly, I would say. Remember that this will be a tiling texture, so adding in too much obvious uniqueness will reveal repetition very quickly. We want subtle, we want forgettable, which I think a lot of people have said about my art, to be fair. And then to top it off, I just switch back to the Draw Sharp brush again, just to add in some deeper knots. And I mean, honestly, that's kind of it. If you wanted it to be more detailed, you would just keep working on it. Otherwise, let's bake this puppy down. So get into object mode, add a plane. By default, it's 2 meters, and that's handy because 2 meters is what we want. Move it just above the sculpt. For the baking itself, we will be using an add-on, but also one that I would consider an absolute necessity for any games artist. It's called TexTools, and it's completely free. It has a whole bunch of amazing unwrapping tools, but our focus in this video will be on the baking features. So get that installed, thank me later, or now if you want, in the comments. We access it either via the UV editor or image editor. Just press N to open the side panel, and like I said, it has a bunch of unwrapping helpers, but we're interested in the baking. And just look at all of that, just so many things to choose from. In order to bake this though, we need to let TexTools know about our meshes, and we can do that with basic suffixes in the actual names of our meshes. So call your low and high poly the same thing, but just add a .lp for the low and a .hp for the high. Then you can select both and choose something to bake. I'll start with the normal map, and if it's not rendered out correctly for you, try changing the cage extrusion distance. You typically want to leave the ray distance at 0, so don't worry about that one unless you intentionally want to clamp the bake. Feel free to change the resolution, of course, and it also has anti-aliasing options, which is great to see. So just pick a few maps and bake them. I'm going to be going with normal map, AO, and curvature. There is a slight issue with curvature baking for tile textures though, in that you always end up with a few pixels of black or gray line just running across the borders. It's really annoying, and if anyone knows how to get rid of it, please, you have to tell me. I've tried everything that I can think of. Once you have your images baked, it's a good idea to either save them out or pack them in the Blender file. I'm going to choose to pack them since I plan on staying in Blender to make the material. And speaking of materials, at this point it is up to you. You can of course just create a default Blender material and hook your images in, maybe mix in some other nodes, like whatever you want. And here's that curvature border problem, by the way. I mean, seriously, I'm about to hand paint this problem away, so if you're sitting on the solution, get busy in the comments. Speaking of hand painting, I'll be using Ucupaint. It's another free add-on, and this one is so essential that it comes built into Blender. Just enable it in the extensions if you don't already have it. And if you've never heard of it, I will just say that it's, primarily a layer-based texturing add-on, but that is not doing it justice at all. Since we already have 4 planes here, let's join them up, and well, I'll also weld them as well. We do this so that if we end up doing some hand paints, which I most probably will, we can continue to paint across the borders of our texture and have it wrap around, which means we'll keep the tiling. I'll wipe my test material, and then with Ucupaint installed, just create a new default material. I'll also rename the material name it's given, just to, something a bit nicer. From here, just press the little plus button and load up the first texture, which for me will be the curvature because we do need to do a little fixing. For this, choose the soft brush. I'll tie the radius to pen pressure, but disable the strength pressure. And then just press Shift and X to sample a color. But be careful with this, by the way. It's super common for people to hold Shift and X and then click, but you don't have to do that. You just press Shift and X and it grabs the color. No need to click. And then time-lapse. So after that, let's load up the AO, and we can change the blending mode to multiply from this initial menu. Then the same for the normal map, but make sure to change the channel from color to normal and set the type to normal map instead of bump, because bump wants like grayscale values, whereas we baked out a legit tangent normal map. From here we can add in a solid color layer as our base color, and we'll need to adjust the blending mode of the curvature map so we can actually see it. We can also add certain modifiers here to boost some values or create more contrast, like the color ramp option is usually a go-to for me. Just make sure to turn off the alpha. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't behave correctly otherwise. If you've got any tiling noise maps lying around, I recommend sticking one in, and instead of using the color channel, set it to roughness. And then just play with the values. You can also use some nice noise maps for color variation, but for me on this piece, I'll just give it a little manual paint over on a new layer. I've set this to overlay, and I'm just brushing in like some darker hues here and there with super low opacity. Just, keep going back and forth with it. And if you do need to erase anything, there is a toggle option for that. Otherwise, just keep going until you're happy. And when you're done, it's time to think about reusability. Like, we've made this tiling material, so now we want to use it. And if you're familiar with the Blender asset workflow, this is what I would recommend. So, save the file somewhere in your Blender assets. And then you can right click the material, mark it as an asset, and then, put it where you want. If it's in a category that you already have, or you have to make a category, whatever, you do you. You can also change the thumbnail for this, by the way, in the end panel over here. Just click the drag a square, hold space to move it, done. And so now you can go to any file you want, grab whatever model you want to woodify, and just throw the material on there. It also comes in as a Ucupaint material, meaning you can still keep tweaking it, maybe change some colors or add some edge overlays, like whatever you want. This is still the raw file. We haven't yet, used Ucupaint to bake everything down. And if you do want to learn a bit more about that, I do have a video on this. But, otherwise, if this general sort of thing interests you, let me know, because there's so much more cool stuff to this add-on that I want to share. And if there's anything you want explained in more detail, or any tips for how to sculpt the stones or metals, or even how to handle something a bit more complicated, just say the word. In the meantime, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.